We have breaking news from the BBC headquarters. This afternoon, the BBC Broadcasting House found itself engulfed in flames. When I saw the BBC's Broadcasting House burning down, I didn't know what to do, so I went inside and I saved what I could. This man was able to save 2 episodes of Doctor Who, Love and Monsters and Fear Her. Hello guys, this is Hazy and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing something Doctor Who related, as I haven't had much Doctor Who content over the last few weeks, and I'm doing a thing called the 100 tag. Now, I'm rather ill at the minute, so I may be coughing, and this is why my voice sounds a bit straining. This is a video idea that I've magpied from another channel. His name is Philip Hawkins. His video about this will be in the description if you want to check that out. He's really cool. So imagine that the BBC Broadcasting House, or wherever they keep the DVD versions of the show, was burning, and you were to go into this fire and you were to save 100 episodes of Doctor Who. And then Thanos went and snapped out everyone's DVD collections. Few rules, right? So the first one is that it is done by episode. You cannot take full stories as one episode. You can take individual episodes though, so if you just wanted part 1 of a story, then you could only have part 1. This also includes the new and the classic, but I'll probably stick mostly to the new because I'm more familiar with it. But it also means that you can take out more episodes. So if I only chose New Who episodes, and that would mean that then I could take out more than if I chose Classic Who, because then I was taking out more fragments and not full stories. I hope you're sitting comfortably because this is going to be a long video. So the best way I thought we could do this was if I did it by Doctor, so the first Doctor, second, third, fourth, and so on. So from William Hartnell, first you must take the first episode. I think that's like almost obvious, but I would only take episode 1 because I've seen this episode of Classic Who, and from what I remember of it, yeah, it's pretty rubbish. I just felt like the first episode did a really good job of showing the world, and then they sort of stuck these 3 on, and there wasn't a great deal of story there to keep me going. I don't know if I'm just weird, but that's how I feel. So next I thought I would take the Dalek invasion of Earth. Now, I had a small struggle between choosing the Daleks or Dalek invasion of Earth, and to me I prefer this episode. This is why I'm taking it, and I'm deciding to take all 6 episodes. I think it's probably because I really like the atmosphere, the idea that Daleks have already taken over and therefore that they have won, and I just quite like that idea. Also, this episode was 1 less. You know, Daleks is 7. You may get things like Skaro and their actual first appearance, but it's 1 less episode, and at the minute I need a lot of space. When it came to making the list, I really just sat there and just kind of went, that one. For some of these episodes, I practically chose them because of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Like, it could be the other way around. It probably wouldn't matter that much. For me, the Daleks invasion of Earth had a lot of like sort of cool shots of the Daleks in London on the streets. There's a bit when one comes out of the Thames. I think I just like showing them in our world instead of them being in their own. I felt like I just spent the last 2 minutes talking about reasons why I chose this episode, so I need to really pick up the pace. So the next episode that I chose was the 10th Planet. The reason for this is that it's the first appearance of the Cybermen, and I really love the Cybermen. It's also just 4 parts long, so it's not particularly long. It also is a regeneration episode, so I really don't need to say any more. Then I thought I would add the Power of the Daleks episode 1, just 1, to show the first appearance of Patrick Troughton. But as we've already had a Dalek story, I thought that I would leave out the rest. With Patrick Troughton, I was really struggling to find any episodes that were generally important to me, I suppose, and appealed to me a lot more. You know, a lot of them I just feel like I wasn't particularly connected to. And I haven't actually seen all of them yet, but I just felt like I wasn't connected to the ones that I have watched. Apart from Tomb of the Cybermen, this episode is also really cool. I know I've had tons of episodes of the Cybermen and the Daleks. There's been no other sort of villains, but I am working on it. I do have some other stuff as we go through. For me, Tomb of the Cybermen is... I know Tomb of the Cybermen is another bleeding Doctor Who story with the Cybermen in it, and we haven't exactly developed anything else from these last two eras that show Doctor Who properly, you know, with different characters, different villains. But he sits there and says that, oh, do you remember this thing that appeared once for like 4 episodes and then we never saw again? And then that swiftly brings us to the 3rd Doctor. For me, my first episode that I watched of Classic Who that I believe to be one of my favourites is John Pertwee's first episode, which was Spearhead from Space. It's basically an Autons episode. It's 4 parts long. It has a chair that eats people. What more do you want? This is not just a regeneration story, but it's also the first episode of Doctor Who to be in colour. And this is something that I think should be saved for history's sake. Then I would take the episode The 3 Doctors. I would take all 4 episodes of this serial. The 3 have some great interactions, and William Hartnell's in a pyramid prison thing, so that's fun. And then I think I would take his last episode, but only the last episode of Planet of the Spiders, the one when he actually regenerates. The reason for this is because I feel like the episode is a little bit too silly, and I know I just called Doctor Who silly, and not as sort of necessary to watch than the regeneration itself, so just the regeneration, again, to save space. Then we come into Tom Baker's era, and for this we're going to take the first episode of Robot. Now I did think about taking the entire thing because it is quite a good story, but again I just wanted to save a bit of space, and I knew that I was going to put in a lot of New Who because that is something that I favour more because of my generation. My age is something that, you know, because I've grown up with it, I'm going to favour it. I think I'm also going to take one of my favourite Doctor Who Tom Baker episodes, which is called Genesis of the Daleks. This is a really cool episode when the Doctor goes back in time to destroy the Daleks, but decides that he can't really do that because if he does that, then he becomes worse than them. You know, does he have the right? Which brings us up to that, you know, brilliant monologue. So I'm taking all 6 because I just feel like it's a really good, tight-knit story. I think I might have lost the order slightly. These were in chronological order, but they seem to be dipping out with the Robots of Death. Now I'm taking all 4 episodes because it's a good base under siege robot story when people are getting murdered and the Doctor needs to find out how, why, and so forth. It's a real by-the-books kind of episode, and it's very sort of simple for Doctor Who, but it's something that I really wanted to capture in my list. I also thought I would take an episode called The Deadly Assassin. Now this is a Master story in which we see the Master with this sort of really cool sort of damaged look. Now that is something that I just really wanted to keep, and also we haven't had a Master story yet, so I wanted to get a good view of Master's stories. And this thing is hilarious yet creepy. Then I think I'll take the final episode of Globalis, the final episode of Tom Baker's era. Just the final episode though, nothing else. Now I could take the full episode before that because that is the Keeper Traken, and then you kind of have that, this episode, and then Castrovalva, and I'm only going to take the final episode of Logopolis. Of course you can't have one without the other. I'm going to take episode 1 of Castrovalva. This all, in a very basic, weird way, will kind of complete the idea of his regeneration. I know there's a lot to his regeneration, you know, because they've kind of got that sort of white, pasty figure following them around. Then I'll probably take one of the best Cyberman stories, which is Earthshock. It's a really cool Cyberman story. It's a base under siege story as well. There's plenty of action in it, and it's a really nice 4-parter. The next episode is The Caves of Androzani. I'm so not saying that right, but I'm not going to do any better. This is Peter Davison's final episode and the beginning of Colin Baker's era. I wouldn't say it's one of the best episodes I've ever seen, but it's alright. I haven't seen it in a long time though, so I don't know if my view would change, but it's a decent episode, and it's also extremely popular with many fans. So if you kind of left it in the burning building, I don't think they'll be very happy. The next episode that I chose to take was Colin Baker's episode entitled The Mark of the Rani. This episode is not just a Rani episode, but it's also a Master episode, and I love the idea of them teaming up, so this is the main reason this is on the list. It's also only 2 parts, so might as well. The next episode I thought I'd take is The Two Doctors. Now this episode stars Patrick Troughton as well as Colin Baker, so I thought I would take that because I didn't really give enough episodes to Patrick Troughton to begin with, so I thought that I would sort of ease it in slightly by giving an episode to him here. It's 3 parts long, and the idea that the Doctor needs to be saved by the Doctor is pretty cool. I also like the idea that the Doctor doesn't always have to just meet his most recent incarnations and could just literally meet any of them at any given point. Also, this episode contains the Sontarans, so that's pretty cool. The Trial of the Time Lord. It was quite difficult to choose what to take, but in the end I just decided to take the last 2 episodes, and those together I think are called The Ultimate Foe. This was done from a 4-sided coin of which one to take, but I thought if I take the last one, then I would also include the regeneration. So with the logic that I've had throughout this entire video, I've only chosen episodes because of regenerations mostly. But I'm going to change that now. Instead of taking Time of the Rani, which is the episode that I should take if I want to include Sylvester McCoy's first episode, I've actually decided to take Remembrance of the Daleks. Remembrance of the Daleks is a Dalek story which features the Doctor going back in time to stop the Daleks getting a device, which I believe is the Hand of Omega. I just thought that I didn't want the 7th Doctor to be fighting some very sort of slightly more vague character. I thought I'd want him to fight something a bit of a big hitter because I'm running out of room. Now I took the first episode of William Hartnell and I felt like it was also necessary to take the last ever episode of Doctor Who. So I'm taking all of Survival. In New Who I thought I would take the first episode, which I think is basically a must. So I'm going to take Rose and I'm going to take an episode called Dalek, which is probably my first introduction to the Daleks. It's a really cool episode when the Dalek actually has some sort of weight and actually feels like he's threatening for once. So it's a very good Dalek story. From Series 2 I'm taking 4 episodes. The first of which is Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel. These 2 are my favourite episodes of Doctor Who. These were the big ones that really, really got me invested in the show. They introduced me to my favourite villain, so I just had to keep them. I didn't see a world without them. And then I thought I would take the final 2 episodes of Series 2 because of the massive companion shock that you get when she dies but then sort of doesn't die, and the mixture of Daleks and Cybermen. It's just really cool. It's exactly what I wanted as a fanboy. Thought I would take my favourite Christmas special as well, which is The Runaway Bride. It's a really good story that shows the Doctor's greatness and humour. It also has some really cool sort of set pieces. That bit when he's flying down the motorway is really cool. I just really liked it as a child. I think that I just wanted to take it. I took quite a few from Series 3, to be fair, so I thought, first, let's take Smith and Jones. Smith and Jones was a really good episode. The episode has some really cool ideas and some really cool villains, so I thought that I just had to take it. I thought I'd take one of the biggest villains as well, which is the Weeping Angels. Most people know what a Weeping Angel is. They might not know if you say it in conversation, but if you show them a picture of the Weeping Angel, then they know what it is. So you have to take Blink. Then I thought I'd take the final 3 episodes of Series 3, Utopia, The Last of the Time Lords, and The Sound of the Drums, even though The Sound of the Drums and The Last of the Time Lords should be the other way around. It's just a very cool finale to a very busy season, and there's loads of action, there's loads of cool character moments, there's emotion, and the stakes are very high. If you thought I took a lot of Series 3, then I'm definitely taking a lot of Series 4. First we have Partners in Crime, an incredibly good, grounded companion and grounded story. It's a bit weird, but it's still rather good. We haven't had many Sontarans, and I thought I'd bring the up-to-date versions, so I thought I'd bring the Poison Sky and the Sontaran Stratagem, which is the other way around again. It has this real sense of invasion, and it's something that I really like in my Doctor Who episodes. It's becoming a bit of a theme. If the episode has sort of a big stakes invasion when the villains are trying to take over the Earth, then I'm really excited and I really love the episode. Talking about big finales and big over-the-top invasions, Stolen Earth and Journey's End are probably the pinnacle of Doctor Who stakes. We have people dying, we have Daleks on the streets, Daleks in the sky, the entire crew of people, almost like the MCU coming all together, is like in this episode. It's almost like they put together everything from the previous seasons and then stuck it together in this one. It really was a Journey's End. Now, I haven't decided to take any of the specials apart from the End of Time Part 2, because you need the regeneration episode, because David Tennant's regeneration was probably one of the saddest moments of my life. I cried a lot after that episode, but I was so excited to see it, and the episode is so good, even though it is a little bit pretentious and a little bit self-absorbed. It's still a very good episode. Right, so we're coming to Stephen Moffat's era of the show, and I thought we had to take the 11th Hour. I consider it to be one of the best openings to a series of Doctor Who. It has humour, it has cool aliens, it has a really, really good Doctor and a great portrayal by Matt Smith. Now, there's a lot of stuff I could have taken from Series 5, but I chose not to. And I just chose to take the last 2 episodes. The Pandorica opens for that incredible speech that the Doctor gives, and then the Big Bang, which obviously is the conclusion, because I feel like you kind of need both. Then we come into Series 6, and we are going to use their opener, which was The Impossible Astronaut and Day on the Moon. Was it Day of the Moon? This was such a cool episode, and it had such a cool villain and such a cool premise, and it was just really well written and extremely engaging for the beginning of the series. It's a shame that most of the series after this didn't really stick with me too well, because I haven't actually included anything else from Series 6 or from Series 7. I just feel like the arc that they put in would seem weird if we have bits and bobs dotted around, and the episodes themselves weren't that good to me to really want to place more in. And at this point, we've already gone past my childhood era, so, you know, over those few years, I did use a lot of my spaces. We have to include the 50th anniversary, the Day of the Doctor. I think that this was the pinnacle of Doctor Who fandom. So many people were excited, people went to the cinema, but I didn't see this as such a big deal back then. I don't know why, but I just didn't, and now I see it as such a huge deal and such a brilliant landmark in the show's history. And then, because I like capturing the regenerations, we also have Matt Smith's regeneration in the Time of the Doctor. It's an alright episode, I suppose. There's some cool stuff, but some of it's a little bit cluttered, but it also features a really cool regeneration scene. I thought that I would include the opener to Series 8, because to me this was a very good episode. I didn't actually include any other parts of Series 8, simply because I didn't feel like it was that strong, to be fair. And some of the other episodes I could have easily passed up on. The finale, I did sort of had to go, no, you're running out of space, you need to cut some out, so I had to cut that one out. Jumping over to Series 9, we have what I believe is probably some of the best episodes of Peter Capaldi's era. These are Under the Lake and Before the Flood. I believe them to be really good in this era. I just feel like out of that entire series, this was the clean-cut two-parter that I wanted, with stakes and emotions, and I did care a little bit more than most people for these characters. It's also when I started taking YouTube a little bit more seriously and started doing reviews that were a lot better than what I was doing before. Before this, I didn't actually review any episodes of Doctor Who, so Series 8 there are none, but Series 9 I started reviewing them, and it was at this point in the series when I decided that I really liked doing it. Then I thought I would take Heaven Sent, because if I'm trying to showcase Peter Capaldi's era, you have to include this episode. He's completely by himself, he has to work by himself using his own logic, and you'd think that this episode would be boring, but it's not. It's actually rather entertaining. Taking a massive jump now up to Series 10. Actually, hang on a second, the light's disappearing because I've been sat here so long. See, that's a lot better. But, like, seriously, I've been sitting here for, like, over an hour now filming this video. And light is slipping away. So, my apologies if the last few takes have been almost in complete darkness. With Series 10, I decided to take 4 episodes. The first of which was Thin Ice. I feel like it was a very good showcase of Doctor Who, and I just felt like it was a very good episode. Then I thought I would take the next episode along, which was Knock Knock, which is a really cool idea about houses and like containing woodlice, and then the woodlice eat people. And then there was this sort of plot twist with the woman inside of the tower, and then we have Oxygen, which is also a base under siege from zombies. So that was pretty cool. And then the final episode in Series 10 that I'm going to take was World Enough and Time. Now this was a massive episode in the show. For me, I felt like it was a wicked cliffhanger. It's just a shame that the second part was not that good. You know, we had things like the Mondasian Cybermen. We had Peter Capaldi really doing his best to give a very good performance here as his sort of final appearance. We have some really cool emotions and a surprise reveal, which isn't actually much of a surprise because they show it in the trailers, and it's bleeding obvious when you're watching the episode. And then from the most recent series, I decided to take The Woman Who Fell to Earth, which I believe to be a very good opening, and had a great doctor and great writing, some would say. And then I would take the final episode that we got most recently, in which the Doctor faces off Daleks once again, but it's the new incarnation, and it's say what you want about it, but I felt like it was a very good episode. I quite like the Dalek being sort of homemade, but I would have liked a little bit more sort of rust and sort of damage and less, you know, this is the size of a Dalek kind of thing. I would have preferred it if the Dalek looked further away from its iconic look. I understand why they chose that look, but never mind. You know, people made a lot of stupid complaints about this episode, things that I just felt were silly, and the idea that you want the show to change, but you don't want it to change that much, do you really? So I really enjoyed the episode, even though I probably wouldn't watch it over, you know, David Tennant's episodes. I still quite enjoyed it, and therefore that is the final episode in my 100. Wow, I've been speaking for a long time. This is not good for my throat, but I've been here for like an hour now, and I've finally finished 100 episodes of Doctor Who. So with these kind of things, you have to tag someone at the end to do it. I think I would choose my friend Will, so Cyber Will. May choose not to do that. That was one hell of a video. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. But why? I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go sleep for a while. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you give it a like. Why not just tag yourself, and then you can just do it anyway, because it's quite fun and it's quite a cool scenario to put yourself into. Do you agree with my 100 or not? The episodes that you said that, you know, what's he talking about? You should definitely remove that. Or he forgot this one. If you did or disagree or agree with me, then put it down in the comments below. But thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you give it a like. And I shall see you soon. Goodbye.